Hey guys, welcome back to Sermon Notes. We are here and we've got Garrett back with us. I think you're a regular now. So again,
Something like that. Happy
yeah,
to be here.
So glad you're here. And we have Mike Glenn back with us.
Hey guys.
Glad you're here. So we are going to move in. If this fails, I'll take full ownership of it. But, we're in November now.
Nobody else thinks this came from anybody else around here. Okay, so
Okay.
this big production about, hey, this is my thing.
Yeah.
I think people saw that,
You
knew
know,
this
they're like,
was
here we go.
Amy Joe. I don't think
Here's
they saw
the
me and
thing.
Garrett walking in with this.
I'm happy to be here.
Glad you're
I
here.
can't wait to see how this goes. Let's do it.
I have felt like there's such a push for Christmas, and I know you're a big fan of. I am as well.
You're not a big fan of
I am a
Christmas?
big fan of Christmas.
It's my favorite thing. I just love it.
I feel like
You leave your lights up all year long?
Not all year long, but there might or might not.
Flip 'em on.
One of my daughters asked about the Christmas tree this weekend, and I might have gone ahead and put it up in the house. There's no ornaments on it yet, but there's lights on it.
okay, good. It's not just like a
We're not.
Tree
We
that's
haven't
just
gone.
in your
Well,
but
you got to
house.
give it time to settle down before you put the ornaments on it because it's been in a bag all year.
It's been in a box. He's right. Anyway, Christmas
well.
is awesome. You may continue.
I love Christmas. I think it's great, obviously, but I do feel like the spirit of Thanksgiving. The attitude of gratefulness is awesome too. I love Thanksgiving.
Same.
Skylar's ready. He's like, when are we eating turkey? Is what
Okay.
he said. So I thought it'd be fun. This
Why do we eat turkey on Thanksgiving and we don't eat turkey any other time of year? I know you eat sliced turkey for sandwiches and that kind of stuff.
Right.
But you don't ever go over to anybody's house and they just pull a whole turkey out of the oven.
well
Not
at
during
Christmas
the year.
too.
At Christmas and Thanksgiving.
My
Yeah.
mind is
But
blown.
if it is that
Right.
big a deal, that turkey is that good,
Right.
and we do it once or twice a year.
Well,
See, I'd rather grill steaks.
Okay.
do you?
Let me
yeah.
ask this question regarding the spread. If you only get one thing off the Thanksgiving meal spread, and that's your thing, boss, what do you want to eat?
Oh, I'm gonna have the sweet potato casserole
Okay,
with pecan and brown sugar topping.
Or-
AJ,
oh, gosh.
this is unplanned. I'm sorry, guys.
Well, I love dressing.
Okay,
I love the dressing.
like a staple.
Yeah, but see, dressing's better the day after.
Okay, I'll eat it then too.
Yeah, see,
Yeah.
because
It needs to.
the dressing is like Italian food. It's got to like talk to each other. All the spices and all that have to kind of
kinda
get
just gotta
together.
sit.
Well, they
Yeah.
do.
Yeah.
You can eat it too early. You
Amen.
can eat dressing too early.
But I love it.
Yeah.
I love dressing. When it's
But what does it say about Thanksgiving that the people who make cranberry are introducing that it shakes when you get it out of the can?
It's I don't
It's
like.
interesting you bring that up, boss, because my favorite part of the spread,
Is
I
the
don't care about
cranberry?
anything. I just want the Ocean Spray can of cranberry sauce. You got to wiggle that thing out of there, and then you put a little bit of salt on it, and I will eat the whole can. I'll slice that
Well,
sucker up.
you can have
Yeah,
my can.
I don't have
because
it.
I
I
don't
don't
think
want
there'll be
it.
anybody fighting
Can't wait
you
to
at
see
my
you guys
house.
at the table.
Yeah,
gonna be
we'll,
great.
We'll bring it over after Thanksgiving. We'll have
Just
all
set it
these-
on the porch.
All
Here's
these,
the
be
cranberry.
at your house.
All right, take us
love
to the
it.
turkey.
Okay, so
Sorry.
Turkey Jeopardy. It's really just we want to have some themed conversations about it. So I went ahead and pre-loaded the turkey feathers with things that I think that you might be thankful for, and then I just threw midterm elections in there just in case you wanted to talk about
Hey,
it.
I think everybody needs to vote.
Okay.
And I think we need to be serious about our voting. We need to pay
Yes.
attention to the issues
Okay.
because the issues do have consequences for families and the way that we live and the communities. But I do need to think, I want to emphasize, we need to vote and keep our politics in an eternal perspective.
Okay.
This whole thing about my life's going to be over if the wrong person
Right.
gets elected or, I can't live with this guy or that guy. We need to keep this thing that Jesus is always working, and it doesn't matter who's.
He's always on the throne.
He's always on the throne.
Yeah. Yep.
So be involved, but understand that there is a limited, eternal impact in what we'll be involved in with the election tomorrow.
Good word.
Good. You want to go ahead and
So
pull
I
that
got one.
turkey
I got
feather?
one feather off. I'm sorry, feather.
We're done
I'm
here.
Sorry, turkey. I don't
Yeah.
want to pluck your tail here.
Yeah.
Did you build the
So-
turkey?
Yeah, I made that all last night. Just kidding. Not really. I did make the turkey feathers. I think we can see that.
It's good.
A favorite Jeannie story. Gosh, we've been married 42 years.
I know, it's
So
a
there's
lot.
not like a.
Is there a
Their
favorite,
favorite-
Jeannie
favorite.
Thanksgiving story? You
Oh
think of?
gosh. Oh,
Maybe that narrows him down. That's the one we went.
she is hilarious, and people don't realize it.
Yeah.
But the boys love to run a story on Jeannie, and the gag is how far can they run the story until she figures out that they're making it up.
I love it.
So we'll be at the supper table, and one of them will go, "Hey, did you see in the paper, or
no.
did you see?" And it'll be something,
Not true.
And Jeannie will be, "Really, I didn't know that." And the other one will pick up, so they toss it back and forth
Oh my gosh.
to see how far they can run it before Jeannie goes, "This is not true." So it was
That's awesome.
kind of a nightly entertainment at the dinner table. When you talk about favorite story, for me, Jeannie has never been more beautiful than when she held our boys. So this picture I have in my head of her holding one of our sons when they were little
Yeah.
she was an incredible mom. And Jeannie is the exact opposite of me. She's very organized and thank God because the boys would have starved. It was like, when you go to bed tonight, there was 24 bottles in the refrigerator.
Wow.
You do not come to bed unless there's 24 bottles in there. And so every night I was filling 24 bottles for the next day.
Wow.
And Jeannie had that routine down, and that's what got the boys alive.
Wow.
But the other thing that people don't know about Jeannie is she is my safe place. I can go home and I can sit down and I know that whatever I want to express, whatever I've been through, I am safe with her. And one of those stories is when my mom started showing Alzheimer's, and I was in the first moments of dealing with that. If you've ever dealt with it, if you go down and deal with your patient, whoever it is, you will start thinking that you have Alzheimer's because they can flip it. I mean, Mom could flip the script on you in a heartbeat,
Yeah.
and you would think, well, I thought I knew
thought I
what I
knew.
was talking
Yeah.
about, but now maybe I don't. But one time she made me so mad. I took the keys from her. I took 2 sets. I didn't know she had 3 sets because she had anticipated that I was going to take. So she went and made another set of,
Oh my goodness. Yeah.
And I was so mad. And so I was coming home, and I was talking to Jeannie on the phone, and I said, "I've had it. I'm not going back. I don't care what happens. I've done my best. I can't do this." And I ran it for 100 miles. And when I finished, there was this long silence. And then she just very quietly said, "That's not you." And that's all she said.
Yeah.
"That's not you."
That's
And I knew, yeah, she's right.
Yeah.
I'll got
Yeah.
to figure out something, but I'm not going to quit.
right. Right.
That's not you. She's always the one who holds me accountable to my best self.
Yeah. That's awesome.
And
I love that.
yeah, and she does it just real,
Steady.
just one sentence, just one
Exactly.
one
what you need.
word, yeah, and it's irrefutable.
Right.
Yeah. The tone's
I love
right.
that.
Yeah, it's over.
that.
Yep.
Yeah, we've talked about this. All we
That's
need to talk
good.
about it now. She's spoken here,
Yeah.
so
That's good. Thanks.
Meeting adjourned.
That's good.
yeah, it is.
I like that.
It really is.
That's helpful. Well, we're going to jump into the sermon series. This is the last one, right?
It's the last one.
Last one of Preaching in Heartbreak City. So it was themed Nothing They Need. So
We watched it.
we did. Actually, I was in there. It was I was in there. I was
Yeah,
live.
you guys sit back in the back
We
corner up in
did.
there. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, Daryl picked that spot. I realized after a while that Daryl and Scout were sitting up there, and I was sitting down there. I was like, we can actually sit together in this service.
Well, everybody was wondering if they were like
I
marriage
know.
issues.
Like, what's going on? I
Okay,
didn't know.
This family never sits together here. So.
I know. So we sit up there. Daryl wasn't able to sit up there with us this Sunday, but it was Scout's first time to have communion, so that was kind of fun.
Oh, that's
yeah.
cool.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So we were up
really.
there in the top. Yeah. So first question: why do you think some Christians tend to focus on social ministries instead of preaching the gospel? You had been talking a little bit about out of the feeding of the 5,000.
Yeah, it's easier.
Okay.
It's easier, and it's tangible. Okay, the tornado hit East Nashville. We show up. There are trees in the middle of the street. There are limbs in people's houses.
Yeah.
Things torn out. We can go in. We get together. We work. At the end of the day, we look back, and this street's clean. That house is fixed, and you can see the difference that you made. Sometimes with evangelism, especially now because evangelism is so much slower.
Right.
You have to do so much pre-evangelism work before people are able to respond with their full selves to the invitation of the gospel, that it is very tedious and frustrating. Yeah. And you live in a world that just really doesn't want to hear about it.
That's a good point.
They do not want to hear about the claims that Jesus has on their life.
Yeah. Yeah, and it's out of that, oftentimes, right? Out of the
Yeah,
social.
and it's the and nobody says anything when you're feeding the hungry. Nobody says anything when you can do that all day long.
Yeah.
But when you say we're here in the name of Jesus,
Right.
Yep.
then you'll get the pushback.
Yeah.
And so many of us aren't trained or are not prepared to handle the pushback.
Yeah.
And so we get embarrassed, we get frustrated, we get flustered,
Right.
and we
Stop the
don't,
conversation.
and we stop the conversation.
Yeah. Yeah. It's good.
We talked off camera for a second and almost laughed about it. It's this search, not laugh in a bad way, but it's how it is. This search for digital likes and
Yeah.
the longing to almost be filled by those instead of something that will last. How do we cure that? How do we cure that search for digital likes?
Well, gosh, we can talk about this one for a while. One, I think we're all beginning to realize, but the church needs to talk seriously about the damage that social media is doing.
Okay.
It is not a funny way to share a few funny stories or jokes or videos or something like that. This thing is put together. It is designed to become addictive. They put the computer program together, the algorithms, in such a way that it will hook the dopamine in your brain. TikTok, we've had enough people come out and say, "Hey, this is what Facebook does. This is what TikTok does. This is what Twitter does," to make sure that you are addicted. And when you become addicted, then the choice is no longer yours.
Yes, sir.
The addiction is making the choice. Yeah. So you sit quietly and you grab your phone because I want to find out what's happening on Twitter. We need to confront this thing that this is harmful now to our society. Now, on the extreme, we have the stories of people who have been bullied on the internet and bullied in social media and have ended up taking their own life because of that.
Yes, sir.
On the other side of that, we have countless man hours that are wasted scrolling through some screen to see some dancing cat. And I'm to the point where now I know we got people around here that say, "Hey, man, you got to be on social media." I'm beginning to think, I'm not sure.
Yeah.
I'm not sure my calling
Yeah.
as a pastor or as a follower of Christ in this setting. I'm not sure my calling is to be an international influencer.
Yeah.
So I think we need to confront that. Two, I think we need to help people understand that just because you have 1 million likes, you don't have 1 million friends.
Yep.
And that was the joke. You get 50,000 friends on Facebook, but you don't know who to call at 2:00 in the morning.
That's
You
where
get
it
in a
hits.
jam. You don't know who to call because none of those people who have hit like are your friend.
Right.
And what we found out coming out of COVID is what hurt probably worse of all the things in the canceling our services and jobs and school. What hurt worst of all was the lack of community.
Yeah.
The in-person.
Yeah,
Yes,
and
sir.
that I don't have people with eyes on me. I don't have people that I can count on to be in my life. The secret to ministry is, when we train our deacons and when we talk to the young pastors who come on our staff, is, well, I don't know what to say. They won't remember what you say. What will they remember? And you're learning this all the time, every day now in your new role as campus pastor for the Brentwood campus.
Yes, sir.
Did you show up?
Be present.
Did you show up? Talked to a friend yesterday who was in a grief situation. His last comment to me, thank you for being faithful and showing up. Okay? Everybody else does the, hey, man, I'm sorry. Then they go on with their life.
Yes, sir.
Can I trust you to show up every day? It is, and we need, gosh, we need to talk about this. The sad thing of what you will give up of yourself, of your dignity and your humanity, just to get a like that doesn't matter. So we have people doing the stupidest things on the internet. And what people realize later is, when you go for a job interview, that job interviewer has that video.
Right.
Yes, sir.
Right.
Yeah. So you're the guy who thought, setting
funny.
the house was on fire was funny, or you were in a video where you were more and more provocative,
Right.
and especially for the AJ, you remind me of this all the time. Of what our teenage girls are losing and giving up, and then once it's on the internet, it never goes away.
Yeah, it's there. It's true.
So I'm beginning. Demonic is a strong word, but I wouldn't be surprised if down the road there's not a Christian backlash that says followers of Christ aren't on social media. That we have that kind of backlash down the road.
Yeah. You definitely have to have boundaries too.
You've got to have
right?
some strong
in
boundaries.
place.
But who educates you on those boundaries? See, what happens is parent gets a kid a phone. The teenager or the student goes to school and somebody says, hey, do you have this? Do you have that? So they download
Load it
the
on
app.
there. Yeah.
And then they're gone.
Right.
And sometimes before the parent really even knows what's happened on the phone.
Yeah. It's true.
And my boys, of course, we didn't have it as bad as it is now. But we
Right.
were at the beginning of it when Chris and Craig were growing up. And they would get mad at me for, quote, looking at their phone. And I would remind them, I
You're
bought
not-
it.
Yeah. You're paying
I
for it.
pay for it.
Right.
There's nothing against the law for me looking at my phone.
Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that you happen to be using. So,
It's definitely a conversation to keep having as
well,
a church
and
too.
parents need to step up.
Right.
The kid has. I wouldn't let somebody come in and bully my child, and then my child say, "Well, this is my privacy." No,
Yeah.
when somebody's trying to hurt you, no, all rules are off.
Right. Right.
And you need to have that kind of attitude about social media,
Yeah.
because there are people on that social media who are trying to harm your kids.
It's good. All right. Well, we're
That
gonna.
sermon's free.
I know, right?
So we go back
We're
on
gonna
the vision
back up a
series,
little
vision
bit.
series.
We're gonna
Okay.
go back. No, it's good. It's good. We have a lot of parents I think have asked
do.
us those questions
Yeah.
and
We get that a lot.
in the past. So when my first question, we were talking about social ministries and preaching the gospel.
Yeah.
Going back to that a little bit. So the idea of how do we combat the idea that we're imposing our faith on others when we're sharing it? Just that, how do you combat that? Like,
Well, it goes back to anytime I'm sharing good news with you, I'm not imposing anything.
yeah.
Okay, and
I was going to say,
mentioned
can you
that
share
yesterday.
Can you share the illustration that you did yesterday? You might. This
oh
might
yeah,
be a different one.
if I come in and say, hey, and I've got a handful of $100 bills, and I say, hey, there's a guy out here with a bucket of $100 bills, says you can come get all you want.
Yeah.
Nobody feels imposed on.
Right.
Just with us, you and Daryl and I are always sharing kid stories.
Yeah.
You know, tell me a scout story, and
Right.
you will tell me a story about what your son's done, what's going on in their life. I'll show you pictures of my grand. Okay,
Yeah.
no one here feels imposed on
Right.
because it's coming out of the joy of my own life, and I want to share that joy with you.
Yeah.
What happens with evangelism is it becomes a thing we do, not who we are.
Yeah.
Good.
Okay? If I'm spending time with Jesus and if I'm learning things with Jesus in His presence, if I'm in the Word and man, I've discovered something. Did you know this? Wow, just stop. Then it's just who I am. And if you squeeze me, you bump me. That's what comes out.
Right.
Okay. What the world is frustrated with is when you see me as something to be acted on rather than a friend to be shared with.
Yeah, that's good.
Okay,
Yeah.
I'm trying to do something to you.
Yeah.
I'm trying to
You're my
manipulate you.
project.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you're my project.
Yeah.
Rather than, gosh, I was reading, you know, and the boys always just get mad at me. Can't we just talk? No,
Yeah, this is
no.
part of
this
who I am,
yeah,
yeah.
I can't help it. This is just what I do. For instance, we was talking to the pastors the other day. I was reading in Corinthians where Paul says, you can eat anything. Everything is lawful. Well, then the next sentence he says, but if somebody offers you idol meat, don't eat it.
Yeah.
Well, okay, what's the difference, Paul? All right, here's the thing. If you go to the grocery store and you get something to eat, all of that's fine. If somebody offers you a world view, okay, this is something that I have sacrificed to my God that I believe in,
Yeah.
then you are free to refuse it. I'm not going to take the world view that you're trying to sell me on
Yeah.
this, okay?
Yeah.
So what does that mean like with transgendered persons? Okay? I meet someone, they say, hey, my name is, my pronouns are.
Right.
And that's the whole conversation. I am free then, as a follower of Christ, to accept that person and to accept their pronouns and use their pronouns to establish this friendship.
Yeah.
Okay? We meet everybody where they are.
Yeah. That's good.
Okay? And if you come and say my pronouns are them, they, okay, I can do that. And I will honor our friendship by that.
Right.
If you come to me and say, I'm this way and you have to buy everything and the worldview that backs it up,
Yeah.
then I'm free to say, no, I won't go there.
Yeah.
See? And
good.
see, I was all fired up to share that with the preacher. It had nothing to do with the sermon. We were going over all that. But that's what people resent.
They sense that. They
Yeah, they
notice
sense that. They sense that.
Yeah. Right.
You know, we have people on our staff that are perpetually happy. You know, they are. Just every time you see them, this is the best day, and isn't the rain beautiful? And, you know, don't we need the rain? And I'm thinking I'm wet, my briefcase is wet and everything, and they
Yeah.
just, but nobody gets flustered with them because that's who
That's
they
who
are.
they are. Yeah. It's good.
You know, and I think as we talk about evangelism, more and more of us need to spend time with Jesus rather than worrying about what I'm going to say and how I'm going to say it to this person. So it
Right.
always comes out of that overflow
Just-
of what Jesus is doing in your life.
Yeah. It's good.
Yep. What does it look like? So I'm just going to say this from here so I get it exactly right. What does a church look like that lives out the concept of showing hope to its community? If you've got if you can deduce it down to here it is, because that's your thing. What does it look like
Okay.
for a church?
Hope as contrasted to despair.
Okay.
Despair is probably one of the worst of the sins, in that despair says this situation is so bad that even God can't work, and we give up. We don't try. Hope says God is always working, and He's working so that in the end we will celebrate how good and powerful and loving He is,
Okay.
regardless of where the situation. Romans 8, all things are working together for good for those who love him, but it's always in the context of God's working to fulfill the kingdom vision. Okay?
Yeah.
We always believe that. We always believe. Paul gets thrown in prison. Okay? That's bad. Well, he writes a letter. I want to tell you about how many people have come to Christ who were in the Praetorian Guard. Okay. Why? I'm put in prison so I can share the gospel. That's worth it.
Yep.
Okay. So when we have hope, we are sure that the future belongs to Jesus, and it is as Jesus says it is. That's what we're committed to, and that's what we're working on, regardless of the situations that we're in right now. Okay.
Yep.
Sometimes people come and say, "Well, this is a mess." Well, it's a mess because people have made messy decisions and bad decisions. Well, okay. We're going to start there knowing that God isn't mocked. What you plant comes up. Okay. So if this is the harvest we have, then we're going to say, "See, God's showing you how things work.
Yes, sir.
Now let's move on."
It's good. And you always say, what is, I'll get it wrong. I hope I cue this up. Gerald's office like, this is a fun game. But you say your worst story.
Yeah, Jesus can take the worst moment of your life
Yep.
and make it the first line of your testimony.
Yeah.
People come to me all the time and go, "Hey, don't tell anybody this, please. Don't tell anybody. I'll die if anybody knows."
Right.
So we respect that confidentiality, but
Yeah.
we work through it. Jesus does what he does. There's forgiveness, there's restoration, there's healing. And then they'll come and tell me, "Hey, I want to give my testimony." Okay, will you come? Yeah. And I'll slip in the back, and they'll stand up and say, "You guys don't know this about me, but here's where I was."
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
it's
You're
the
like,
very thing they told me not to tell anybody.
they're sharing.
That's because God works in such an overwhelming and powerful way that to fully understand the context of what God has done in your life, you have to tell people, "This is where I was."
Yeah.
You have to understand how lost I was before he found me.
Yeah. Which that's a great place to start too.
Yeah.
If people are wanting to, try to figure out, I mean, evangelism is sharing where you were
Yeah.
and look at who
That's
I
right,
am.
that's right.
He did
I
that.
didn't start
There's no
here. That's
way.
right, yeah.
So I think that's a good reminder too. So I love whenever you share that. But okay, so last question. There always is, I'm sure. But was there anything that you wanted to share that you kind of ran out of time with? What's one thing that you walked away and you're like, well, this is something?
The beautiful thing about the feeding in the wilderness, the feeding of the 5,000, is how it connects to the manna in the wilderness.
Yes.
Okay, God provided manna, Jesus provides bread, and then the connection to the Lord's Supper is that He always provides for us on our journey, and you always get the manna you need for the day.
Yep.
You don't get any extra. And when
Yeah,
you go to
good
bed
for
at night, you're wondering, how will I make the next day?
Yeah.
And you get up and you have the manna you need.
That's good.
So just that whole line of stories where God has provided in the middle of the wilderness, the feet of Elijah, and all of those stories. Yeah, we could have had a long time
good.
fun, as the
I love
boys used
that.
to say, a long time
Long time
fun
fun.
talking about that.
That's good.
Yeah.
So good. I like that.
Yep. Mike, thanks for coming in.
I always have
We
a lot of
appreciate
fun.
you. It's been good. If you like the podcast, which hopefully you do, subscribe wherever you find podcasts. We are there. Hit the button, follow us,
And
join
hit like.
in. Hit
Hit
the
like,
like.
yeah.
Follow us, subscribe, everything we've talked about. We'd love to have you join us going forward. We'll be back next week. And Mike, thanks again for coming out and hanging.
Always
Happy
glad.
Thanksgiving.
And to
Yay.
you.
Yeah.
And my birthday. My birthday's 2 days before Thanksgiving. Don't jump over my birthday.
That's right.
Would you like a can of Ocean Spray cranberry sauce delivered to your front
Nice.
porch?
Yeah, but you have to do that whole Ocean Spray dance thing if you deliver it. So.
We'll see what happens.
Okay.
No promises. Happy Thanksgiving.
And to you.
Early Merry Christmas. Have a great day, everybody. Hit the button. We'll go from there. See y'all later.